The first pitch of the ball game. Look at the lights flickering all over Wrigley Field.
88 had such a nice ring to it.
It was electric.
It was a whole different look seeing Wrigley Field under the lights.
It's been 25 years since the Cubs first played baseball under the lights. Wrigley Field at the time was the last stadium to get lights. However, if the original owner of the Cubs had it his way, night baseball at Wrigley may have never happened.
I think people have to realize that Mr. Wrigley wanted to be the first to have lights. And when that didn't work out, when the Cincinnati Reds, and I believe it was Crosley Field, had lights, Mr. Wrigley had already purchased the lights, decided to then never have them. So it wasn't a tremendous feeling about keeping nostalgia. He felt if he couldn't be first, he didn't want to be there at all. And so he gave his lights apparently to the war effort, is I believe the story. And at that point, he said Wrigley Field will never have lights.
Back in 1981, the Tribune Company purchased the Cubs from the Wrigley family, and night baseball was inevitable. The Tribune Company wanted it, but the residents who lived in Wrigleyville did not. They didn't want their tranquil evenings ruined by raucous night baseball crowds. Bernard Hansen was the alderman for the 44th Ward at the time, and he was at the heart of this battle from day one.
The controversy came in when Dallas Green walked into a community meeting with 700 people and said, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to have 50 night games. And everybody started buzzing, and, you know, the naysayers, and wow, that's too much change to begin with. And he said, well, you know, we're going to have 50 night games whether you like it or not. You know, the Tribune Company runs Chicago. And I grabbed the microphone away from Dallas, which was kind of risky, and said, no, he didn't mean that. And he said, oh, yes, I did. And the problem after that was I had to introduce an ordinance in the city council to prohibit night baseball until we negotiated a deal. Living within a block and a half of the ballpark until I was 13 and a mile and a half of ballpark all my life, I've seen many things come and go here. There's been great development in the area. Has the development of Wrigley Field helped the neighborhood? Yes. But has the neighborhood helped the development of the Chicago Cubs and their future also? Absolutely. The NIMBYs, not my backyard. Well, there are a number of those people who, over the years, you know, you sit down and you reason with them and you say, hey, you know, life changes, priorities change. Let's do it in an organized way. Let's do it in a way to where it benefits everyone. There are no 100% absolutes except death and taxes.
7 years after the Tribune Company bought the Cubs, Hansen brokered peace in Wrigleyville, and the Cubs were granted night games. The first game was played on 8/8/88. 91-year-old Harry Grossman, a Cub fan who'd been to over 4,000 games, had the honor of pushing the button, and Wrigley Field had lights.
Let there be!
It was a whole different look seeing Wrigley Field under the lights. I noticed lights up in the concourse that I'd never seen before with all the day games. The scoreboard lit up. It just had a completely different look to it. Actually, after that game, I think they had to tweak the lights a little bit to get them exactly right. But my first at bat, I remember being announced. And as I walked to home plate, there's a huge roar, and I said, "Wow, this is cool. This is pretty different."
Oh, it was awesome. It was a part of history. It'll be looked back on 50 years from now that you know, Wrigley actually put light towers on there. And the other good thing is, gosh, we didn't have those nasty shadows anymore once those lights got there.
Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks, along with Billy Williams, threw out the first pitch, and the man that coined the phrase friendly confines was ready to see the Cubs play under the lights.
When I first started, I thought the Cubs would be playing daytime baseball forever and be the only club in the Major League doing that. But things have changed, and I understand change, and it's very exciting.
When I was here, and I was sitting in the first row down here with a couple buddies of mine, and first thing I did is when those lights came on and they had full effect, I wanted to see how it looked out on a field, and by being in the first row, I was amazed how well the lighting was, you know, because but it was a different feel, you know, at Wrigley Field to see that.
There's the drive, way back, it's gone, it's out of here. Phil Bradley, it's a home run, the first man up, his 6th home run of the year, and he'll remember the first night game ever played at Wrigley Field.
But the first night game at Wrigley was not an official first game. The game on 8/8/88 was called in the 4th inning due to rain.
What stands out mostly is the rainout. Phil Bradley hitting Sutcliffe's first pitch onto the Waveland Avenue.
The pomp and circumstance of Wrigley's first night game wouldn't be complete without an appearance from Morgana, the Kissing Bandit.
Morgana, she wants to kiss Sandberg.
The one thing I'm very bummed out is Morgana came out for Rhino instead of me.
What was different was Morgana, the Kissing Bandit, was running in from the right field corner, and I was on her list since 1984. So she waited 4 years, and the first night game where she was going to try and kiss me at home plate in front of all that before my first at-bat. What happened was she was running so slowly because she started way in the corner down there that security took her off right around first base. And now there was a loud boo from the whole stadium. So I just remember just wiping my brow a little bit, getting the sweat off. Kind of the pressure was off. And then I hit the second pitch for a 2-run home run, my first at bat under the lights.
Rhino never got that kiss, but he was okay with that.
No, but I got the home run.
Even though the skies opened up and rain poured onto Wrigley Field, the players still made it a memorable night.
I guess you can't beat fun at the old ballpark. I remember interviewing everybody in the ballpark because we couldn't go off the air. I remember the mayor, Eugene Sawyer, was up there. I remember Geraldo Rivera was up there. I remember Dabney Coleman was up there. I remember we were actually going for just about everybody who was in the seats that night. And I remember thinking to myself that this is never going to end because being the first night game, they're not going to call it, certainly. And they had already played a few innings. It would have been ideal for us to eventually have played. But the capricious weather of Wrigley Field dictated that the game was called, and the first official night game was played on 8/9/88.
The Cubs hosted the Mets the next evening in front of a jam-packed house. Jody Davis and Ryne Sandberg provided the big hits as the Cubs won the very first official night game played at Wrigley by a final of 6-4.
We've got the crown jewel of baseball. We got a great entertainment area with the restaurants and theaters and bars. I am pleased with the transition over the years, but it was very, very difficult at first.
That was my rookie year. A lot of people were not in favor of the lights, but I think most people are now.
I think it's worked out pretty well because a night game at Wrigley Field is still beautiful.